Hello, and welcome to Mental Health Monday, where we talk about advocacy, resources, and ending the stigma associated with mental health. We've talked a lot about a bunch of different things. We've talked about suppression versus repression. We've talked about PTSD versus CPTSD. We've talked about mindfulness, burnout, compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma, all the stuff. Oh, peer support too, that was another thing. But today, we are going to talk about something that can help all of those things. Today's video will be on therapy. Therapy is a way for you to process your emotions with a trained professional who has taken a lot of schooling to be able to help you with your issues. People go to therapy all the time for a bunch of different things. It doesn't have to just be for mental health. It can be for things like grief, marital problems, your dog died, anything like that would be a great use of therapy. Even if you don't feel like anything's wrong with you and you just want an objective third-party perspective, go to therapy. Always, always, always do I advocate for therapy because it's a great way for you to process your emotions, for you to talk to a trained professional, and for you to really work out what's going on inside your brain. So there's certain types of therapies for whatever you want to go to therapy for. So that's why it's always important to understand why you're going to therapy. But another thing that I recommend is that you ask if you can have a consultation or a brief interview with a therapist prior to going to them, just so you can see if you're a right fit. You can ask them a bunch of questions about what modalities they have, the types of mental health issues that they have experience with, the types of therapies that they use, things like that. It is always okay to ask. Some therapists will allow this, some therapists will not, but it's always okay to shoot your shot. Also, this is where peer support comes in. If something like this makes you really, really nervous and talking to doctors or advocating for yourself in that way is really difficult for you, find peer supporters near you that will sit with you, that will give you resources, that will help guide you when you're on the phone with your therapist to advocate for yourself. It is okay to look at local resources to find out what is the best possible therapy for you within your budget and your insurance to see the best deals that you can get, which is why reaching out to a peer supporter, doing a bunch of Google searches. I like to use specifically Psychology Today to look for therapists near me because you can tailor it or filter it by a bunch of different things, including your insurance. A lot of times you can send them an email to see if, what they do fits what you need. I spent a lot of years with a therapist that wasn't really helping me as much as I felt that I could have been helped, and we were kind of just going through the motions. And that's okay too. It's okay to know that, hey, maybe my time with this therapist has run out and maybe I need to advocate for myself elsewhere. It is also okay to sit down and have that conversation with your therapist and say, hey, I feel like we're not making as much progress as we used to. Can we go over my goals? Can we go over my progress? Can we adjust the way that this is going? It is always okay to advocate for yourself and stick up for yourself to your therapist. Always talk to your therapist first before moving on to another one. But if your therapist also feels like you guys have kind of hit a rough patch and isn't working with you to help that rough patch, then it is totally okay for you to go to a different therapist, advocate for yourself, and find something that works for you. Next week, we will go into types of therapy and which type of therapy works for which type of mental illness, trauma, anything that you're going through, which fares the best for that specific thing that you're going through. Statistically, of course, because, not everything's gonna work for everyone, and sometimes things work for you even if they're not supposed to. So always be patient with yourself. Always, always, always try to advocate for yourself and know that your journey is your journey and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Some therapy is not one size fits all. You can succeed within your search and you can get the help that you deserve. Remember, you can always advocate for yourself and the therapist works for you, not the other way around. All right, that's it for our Mental Health Monday today. Thank you so much for rocking with us and hanging out with us and learning with us. Are we on Sesame Street? That's what I just sounded like. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's Mental Health Monday. Join us next time as we talk about different types of therapy and what they work with. I am your host, as always, Amanda, and we will see you next week. And write down below in the comments anything that you'd love to see in the future, because we're running out of ideas. Ding! Oh, perfect timing.